Hi everyone, my name is AJ. Welcome to The Money Store. This is a channel here on YouTube that's been chugging along for like the past 3 years, almost 3 years, discussing La Luz del Mundo, its present crisis that it's in, the future of this church, of this organization, and so on. Today, I want to, as the title will say, I will be discussing the a book project that I've taken on, putting together a history of La Luz del Mundo. I want to before I get into all that, I want to say I have other ideas for other videos I would like to do, and because I am right now reading very widely and trying to gather a lot of sources and citations and trying to put together just compiling a lot of notes. So far, certain stages of what I've been doing so far has been a lot of brain dump because there's a lot that I know, but I'm also trying to read what else everyone else has written. I've written a substantial portion and I'm reading what others have written. So because I'm in that mode, future ideas for future videos, let me know what you think about these ideas. I would like to do videos discussing different articles, different recent articles that have come out on La Luz del Mundo and like criticizing what they say and how they are sometimes vague or sort of hedge or sort of seem propagandistic for the church. I think that's very important to discuss. And I have some tabs open that, you know, if it would be interesting, I would totally be open to doing those. And I think I might. We'll see. Another idea I have is going through certain long publications about the church and reading. You know, I have read through these things. I've highlighted different colors, and I would like to. I've highlighted in different colors and taken different kinds of notes on them, different layers of notes on them. And I would like to say, if it would be interesting, I could totally uh, read through some large publications and guide people through these things. I don't know how long these videos would be, but this is the sort of mode that I'm in, and I think this is the sort of way I could be active on this channel, giving content, which will come at a certain direction from for the church, and I hope that it is useful. At least this is content in English on YouTube, and so those are ideas for videos that I have. I would I might do them. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. Write to me, or leave a comment, and be sure to like this video if you happen to like it. This helps with the algorithm, and it helps get it on people's feeds. And without further ado, I want to talk about all these notes that I've gathered and what this title means and what is going through my mind right now. And then um, I hope you'll bear with me. Some of these notes might be disorganized, but I'm going to do my best so far for now. Okay, so beginning. I want to say that I think I want to write a book on La Luz del Mundo. The church, of course, has its own histories. It emphasizes its own history in a certain way. It sells it to its members. There's a certain repetition of repeating the stuff and like what it is and where to start and where to begin and so on. La Luz del Mundo also has an approach to history in which it has a certain view of human history. It has a certain view of everybody else that has walked the planet and what their destinies have been, what they've become, and what relation everyone's life on this earth has had to everybody that has ever lived and then gone into the afterlife. They have these views of history in a number of different ways. Their own, and then what they sell, and then there's the truth, whatever that may be. But then there's also these other ways that people outside the organization view it, and then the way that organization, people within it, tell themselves a story of history, of human history, and through what they are taught, through what is preached, etc., through what they see themselves as, they view everybody else in a certain way. And that sort of serves into the black and what is roughly put as the black and white thinking of that the organization inculcates in people, that that is part of it, these views of history. So yeah, they have their own histories. They print these things. They sell them, etc. Okay, this might be blurred. It's not so blurred now. They sell them. They distribute them, and I want to really dive into all of that. I want to keep I want to just read very widely, and so this is partly of why I post this video here. So I want to say there's a lot of authors out there already that have written on this. Patricia Fortuny, René de la Torre, David de la Luz, etc., etc. There's a lot of people. Just to go through some other names, not to say that they are all of equal standing and whatever, but I'm reading widely. Massimo Introvigne, Mary Puckett, Jennifer King, Mary Beth Sheridan. She wrote an article. Ana Victoria Ochoa Bojorquez. Some of these names I may have mispronounced, but anyways, these are a number of people that I've started to write down. There are many more in my head, and in other videos I will talk about who is what sort of names are popping up and who these people are. And some of these people I very much respect and have appreciated their writing so far. I've talked about how I have written so far. Just to give you a sense of at what point I am in this project, I want to say that I have written over 15,000 words. This is about 50 to 60 pages double spaced. And single spaced with what I'm working with right now, this is how I write. I write in single spaced. I have about 36 pages. And it just runs the gamut, the gauntlet of just every piece of lore and every perspective. I want to talk about a number of things, a number of themes, and a number of angles. These are the words I'm going to use for now. And so I've written a lot. There's been a lot of brain dump. And right now I want to start to reach out to people on different platforms to gather resources, to gather ideas, to brainstorm, to all that stuff, brainstorm in general. So I want to say the church has its own histories. There's a number of people that have already written about the church's history in a good, objective, you can say, cited, kind of unbiased perspective. And then there are also some biased ones, not to use it in an insult, but there are certain biased ones. There are certain other authors that maybe come from a certain discipline or not, people that claim to be from a certain discipline but aren't of large standing in that, or people with different training. It is what I'm trying to pay attention to as I gather all these names and these resources. So yeah, I'm aware of the church's histories. I'm aware of all these other people. Let me know of other people, please. And thank you to everybody who has reached out to me recently in previous calls where they have sent me different PDFs and different leads. Leads are important. That's a word to say. Another thing, the church's 100th anniversary is coming up in 2 years. The church would say it was founded in early April 6th, 1926, which is when God supposedly contacted Aaron, contacted Eusebio, now known as Aaron. Yeah, that's when the church says it was founded, and they've really driven that home. They've really driven that they have 90 something years of history, 90 this more, and then every year, it's just ticked up. The 100th anniversary is coming up in 2026, and one way to put it is that I myself and a lot of other people will be damned if this was a moment where that institution, the organization, the church, the faith, the doctrine, the lore, the core of it has a moment or feels a moment of triumph. There are certain sectors of the organization that are intolerant, or might try to make the most of the celebrations and so on, to try to bring up fervor within their members, to rally them to do more. Anyways, that is if we pay attention to the 100th anniversary, I and a lot of other people will be damned if this organization goes through it easily. I think I myself, I would like to contribute in this way. And that sort of, paints or lays out a timeline for myself and others to, just think about what does that mean when that comes, as people that are ex-members, if we want to be involved in this sort of continued effort to get people out of the organization, at their 100th anniversary, is the church going to say anything? Is the church going to present new? This is my my hobby horse is one way of saying it. This is my hobby horse of is at the 100th anniversary, the church going to finally announce that they have 10 million worldwide members, that they have tripled in size, that they have quadrupled in size, that no matter any of the very thorny moments of the past 5 years of crisis, has the church actually shrunk, which it most definitely has. And if you're a viewer of this channel, I've constantly talked about this claim of the 5 million members, and how it has been circulating since the 1990s, and how there are other contradictory claims that circulate out there from different pieces of the organization that are members or that are not members. And that may come into play. I'm keeping track of all of this stuff. Anyways, at the 100th anniversary, is this church actually going to have more than 5 million members? I highly doubt it. They're not going to come out with any graphs or data. One thing to talk about, one thing that I wrote down that I'm glad I'll get to, is that there are all these Santa Cenas and other celebrations going on within the organization, and there's all these other continued cycles of worship and living within this church. They have credentials. There's attendance sheets. There are groups within a certain church here. There's groups at another church for people of this age, for people of this age, for people of another age. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of paper trail. There's a lot of paper. There's the credentials that people buy for the La Luz del Mundo celebrations, and they're keeping track of numbers to some extent, but they're not on the other side of it, compiling it and demonstrating for a fact that the church is growing past 5 million members, which is a claim that has been circulating for quite literally 3 decades at this point. 3 decades. I press a lot. I press a lot on this point because if the church can lie to you about this, can exaggerate about this, and just be clumsy about such a thing, they can be clumsy and misleading in many other ways. All this stuff just really intersects for me in my mind, and that I'm glad that I can put it together here for you all. And again, I have had people send me very interesting sources recently that I've just seen very plainly, bolster and support the claims and arguments that I've been making on this channel for a number of years and in other mediums. I want to say that the book I'm writing in English. It may be somewhat easy, or I wouldn't maybe myself right now say that I would translate it to Spanish, but it could be something possible in the future. I think it's important to have it in English, as it would be easier to translate into Spanish, I think, than it would be from Spanish into English, or disregard that. But either way, I'm writing it in English, and whether it gets into a Spanish form later on, we'll see what happens. I do want to say that in regards to this, in regards to writing a book, and what the project entails and what it means for myself and how it can be of use to people, I want to say that I've read quite a number of very interesting books that are there's a market out there for histories of churches, for histories of religious organizations. There's a market out there for stories of people that have left religion at the singular level, or in this project that I'm taking on. I want to talk about for sure my own singular level, but then also I really want to talk about at large, about how there is this fomenting front in various directions that is pushing up against the church, and that there is a new front, there's a new ilk, there's a new group of people that are motivated to address the institution, that are motivated to better their lives, move on past this organization, and then also try to help other people that are still in it. I don't just want to talk about myself. I want to talk about a lot of people, and me getting to this point wouldn't have been possible without them. I really want to recognize, it goes without saying, and I can't say it enough, but it goes without. I want to say that I really appreciate everything that people have done prior to my own involvement and entrance into the discourse of leaving the organization, addressing it, etc. I want to say there are a number of themes about this that I want to do. There's a market for that. There's also the market of to put it crudely, there's the market of ex-LLDM people that I hope, can read this and maybe find this useful, can maybe find this as like a very long, very thorough Wikipedia article, a very just an account of this interesting dynamic in Mexican history and U.S. history and recent history of cults and religious groups, etc. There's a market for all these things. It would be a history. It would be an accounting of a certain phenomena. It's kind of a stemming, if not a stemming, then an offshoot, then like something influenced by the Me Too movement of late 2017. That that's something fascinating and that I would like to put some words towards. This is a story about immigration. This is a story about the Mexican Revolution back in 1926, back in the early, back from 1910 to the early 1920s, and then subsequent struggles within the Mexican society between regarding the power of the Catholic Church and the distribution of land and so on. This is also a story about like gender relations, in this church. This is something Patricia Fortuny has written on. Women sort of serve as a symbol of the church's purity and veracity in a way that men don't. And that is something that other people within the ex-LLDM realm have really discussed thoroughly in other ways. There's a number of women that have different platforms that have talked about how the church, its doctrine and gender have intersected. So with all these, another thing that there's a theme of anti-Catholicism, struggles for power within the early Mexican country. No, within the early 19th century of Mexican society. There's a story of Eusebio Aron being in the Mexican Revolution, or being not in the Mexican Revolution, him being born prior to that, but being involved in the Cristero War. That is something I really want to lay out for myself and talk about with everybody else. There's also the history of the development of the beautiful province of the Hermosa Provincia, the main temple, how that temple came to be constructed, what its symbolism is in the church, etc. So with all that in mind, I wonder at which point I will begin, at which exact point I will begin, at which point I will end. I will say that we don't know at what point it will end. At the end of today, I could have gotten the news that there's been another development in the federal case, but that has not happened yet. And so as I write and as this comes together, hopefully there will even be more developments, and that these can be put into this story that is still unraveling. But going back to the beginning, I don't know at what point I will begin. And to that end, I want to say that for sure, La Luz Del Mundo, I've been reading about that early religious history of Pentecostalism and immigration patterns in the early 20th century. I want to say that I'll definitely talk about previous churches, branches of churches that they come from, these supposed prophets called Saulo y Silas. I'll talk about that to some extent. We'll see how much. I'm not very interested in that, but I do recognize that there's schisms and different umbrellas, different umbrella groups and offshoots of religious organizations that come around in the early 20th century. I want to keep track of all that to some extent, but probably not too much as other people have already. With all those things in mind, I want to say that I want to reiterate that I hope people can share with me different histories, different links, different authors, different titles, different books, etc., sources, broadcasts, links, video, YouTube links, etc., recording CDs, VHSs, anything that could be of use to me. I hope that you can think back into your inventory and let me know what you can provide me with or help me compile. That is something that I really want to do, because I'm going to be doing a lot of cross-referencing, and I'm going to be doing a lot of cross-referencing, and it would be helpful um, to see as much as to have as many sources and citations as I can put together for everybody. I'm not too sure of these chapters, of the how I'm going to section off different portions, but we'll see how it develops. There's really no outline right now, except that I will be in chronological order. There's no real outline yet, and I can probably provide that to people if they are interested in proofreading something, or maybe again brainstorming, and in the largest sense of the word. Another thing we can brainstorm is titles of different chapters of the actual project, etc. I think that could be dependent on the quotes, or I would like that to be tied to the quotes that are utilized, and we'll see where it goes from there. I don't have any titles. I don't have any chapters. I don't have any sectioning off, but I do just have this very large. I do not very large, but this very the most roughest way is a bird's eye view of everything, and from my perspective, of course, but in such a way that it is intelligible to as many people as possible. So there's many themes, and there's many themes to go through, and I would like to keep track of all of this. And one important author that is not an author of a book or an academic article, let's say, is Isaías Alvarado of Univision. His reportings through Univision have been incredibly substantial to myself throughout the past number of years, and for this too, it will be. So I'm aware of him, but I would also like to gather as many other sources as possible. But him, Isaías Alvarado, has so many interesting, such a catalog is the word that I'm looking for. Such a catalog of different titles that he of different stories and angles of the story that he has put together. I will depend on them. I will cite them. I will refer to them, and but he has not written a book. And then also this book project that I'm proposing, it stands in contrast to other major projects that have been out there in the ether regarding La Luz del Mundo, and especially from such a position where it opposes the group and tries to beget or bring forward some dissent from the group, or some attention, negative attention, rightfully and hopefully righteously applied attention to the group. Yeah, there's a documentaries from HBO, from HBO, from A&E, from VIX, etc., etc. There's all these documentaries that have been amazing, and I'm going to rewatch them as part of this that I'm doing right now. I want to rewatch them. My project and everybody else's projects, of course, already do. But my project is going to come into the space and exist in some sort of ways to those things. For right now, I can say I very much appreciate them. I do think that they tell the stories in such a succinct, good, effective way for their mediums, for the visual audio medium. And I still think that something that is written is in certain ways easier to do, and can tell a more fuller story than the documentaries. So I hope they don't overshadow. Maybe they shouldn't overshadow. Maybe it should be somebody that was part of the organization, writing this in such a way. But we'll see. I recognize that I exist in a certain dynamic to those things. And again, the story is not done. There's a lot coming together. I hope that this has been useful. I've been gathering a lot of notes today, and then in the past handful of days. And the main point of this video is to give a brainstorm, and to also ask people to reach out to me if they think they have a certain title, or a certain PDF, or a certain lead, a certain reference, or something like that can be of use for me. Something to get on my radar. So everybody, thank you for listening to this. I hope this didn't take too long. I'll do the math in a bit. It's probably like 20-ish minutes. I have these future ideas for other videos. Let me know what you think of them. I may go through with them. And another thing is, reach out to me with those reach out to me with those references, and like this video, comment, share it with somebody. Give me your thoughts and ideas. There's a conversation after the conversation, and I would like to, keep this productive and useful for, the networks of people that are out there and that this can be available to. So everybody, thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.